We are live today with Imelda Curtin, Coaching Wisdom Podcast. You guys know that I love to do these live coaching sessions so that you can get to see and experience the wisdom and the impact that a coach can have on you. In that case today, Imelda Curtin is with us. She's co-founder, mind coach, presenter, and trainer at Mind Coach Academy. So we're going to get into some coaching here to probably unblock some of my beliefs, some of my behaviors related to XYZ. Really excited to have you on, Imelda. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about Mind Coaching Academy.
Yes, so Mind Coach Academy, I have two business partners, co-founders as well, Rebecca Cragnolini and Kelly Berry. And yeah, couldn't probably do this work without them. So we coach executives, CEOs and business leaders, and we are experts at spotting what is getting in the way of even more success. You know, clients that are incredibly successful in life, great job, the car they love, the house they love, holidays, you name it, they have it. However, when they come to us, they can be feeling overwhelmed, kind of feeling relationships might not be going great, because especially if you spend a lot of time in businesses, then the other side can be let down a little bit, second guessing themselves, maybe not sleeping, they have health issues, or even just simply, I've done it all, I have it all, should I not be happy now? I've reached all my goals, but yeah, there's something missing. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to join you here today, Charles, to bringing awareness about how the importance of mindset and how simple techniques. Yeah.
Really glad to have you too. And by the way, people, Imelda is from New Zealand, one of the country I've been fascinated with, high quality of people there, very cool culture. So yeah, I'm glad to get into it. How should we start that?
How should we start that? Well, I guess I'm from Ireland originally, so people might be wondering, do everybody in New Zealand speak how I speak? But this has been my home for the last 12 years and absolutely love it. So just asking, are you open to coaching today, to being coached today, Charles?
100%, 1,000%.
100%. Okay, so let's get it. I often believe that what is holding people back is their beliefs. The belief starts out as thoughts. And we have these thoughts and then they become facts and we start to view the world through this lens. Does that make sense to you? Okay.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Just one thing. Yesterday, I think we discussed about financial limitations. I love to talk about that one, but I have an even more immediate one, which I've seen into me since quite some time, which is adversity, like people posting stuff online or replying to my email in a quite negative way. I feel I still get triggered by that in my heart, when I read a negative response, like, no, I don't want to be on your podcast. I think your message was not good, or someone, commenting on my content on LinkedIn saying that it's not good and so forth. Today I had a comment on one of my videos saying that the guy that I interviewed owed him like $700. It's like, and so I'd love to work on these heart reactions of mine and kind of let that feedback pass over my head and not through my heart.
Yeah. So it is that you're being triggered at that time that you're feeling, and it is the emotional response. It is that emotional response. So why don't we go there? You've had it just this morning. What were the thoughts? What was the first thought that went through your mind at that time?
Yeah, I'm glad to go into it. And by the way, I had it also before going to bed yesterday. I think I had like two folks that I was checking my emails, and yeah, two folks refused. And I was like, yeah, dude, why do you even respond to my emails and so forth? You kind of wasting our time here, or it's probably a feeling of rejection. That's how I feel, rejection. And funnily enough, I started my career in sales being rejected 200 times a day on the phone, calling engineers in my broken up English with my French accent and feeling the heat. I did develop some kind of shield, but never fully. And that rejection, where did it start? Well, I was a popular kid when I was in primary school, so I had very few rejection there, was always the leader, had my little pack. But I think the feeling of rejection, it started in high school. First, I remember being rejected by a girl that I asked out. I think I was second year of high school. That really broke me into pieces. I was like shorter and had my puberty later, so that also brought some doubts into me. I wasn't that popular kid anymore. I was hanging out with my friends that were the popular kids and was hanging in the popular crew, but apparently that wasn't enough for my little ego, because I was used to being the pack leader, at primary school. So I think that's where the rejection began, the bell rang and everyone used to go eat at the cafeteria. And then if I would go down first and I would get my food and be alone at my table, my heart felt like it was sinking, because I was like, oh, am I alone? Am I exposed here? Will people think I'm, a reject? That was the word that we used to use. But then my friends would come, they would sit next to me, and then I would feel whole again. So I think that's where it began.
So what are the thoughts that are going through your mind when you're in that situation? Like back when you were in high school, when you were just sitting at that desk and nobody was coming in, what were the thoughts?
Heart sinking.
No, so that's the feeling. So the rejection and the heart sinking is the feeling.
Cortisol.
So what are the thoughts? But what are the thoughts? What were you saying to yourself, the internal dialogue?
Yeah, it's vulnerability. It's like I'm by myself. I don't have my little pack of friends. And then what will other kids think about me? What will the ladies think about me? Am I still attractive or acceptable?
Okay, so is it, am I acceptable? Is that the thought, that am I acceptable?
Right.
Is that the thought? So,
yes.
And when you're asking yourself that question, what answer are you getting?
Yeah, the question is like, am I fit? Am I enough? Sort of, am I?
Okay, so am I enough? So what is the answer that's coming up for you? Like when you are receiving that rejection, when somebody is making a comment on your podcast, am I enough? Am I, what is it for you?
Or am I fit to their perception? Sort of, am I like competitive? Am I fit? And the answer to that is, well, according to them, no. That would be the answer.
So is it that I'm not, what is it for you? Is it that I'm not enough, that I'm not acceptable? What is it in your own language?
Yeah, it's like, if I dive deep into me and ask myself that question, it's like if they're rejecting me and it's, how do I feel?
So, Charles, can we just take a moment and just take a breath, because there's lots of thoughts swirling around, and this is a great technique. It just takes 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So just taking a breath and maybe even closing your eyes or lowering down your eyes, and let all the thoughts, I'm just going to time this so you know how effective this is. And it's a great technique to anybody that's listening. When there is so much thoughts going around in your head, it's called a 60-second reset. So I'm just going to put on the timer now, starting now. So just taking a deep breath, and all the thoughts going around your head, they're just flying around your head. Just imagine that there is a chute going from your head right down into your heart, and just breathing into your heart space. It's almost like your head is like that snow globe where everything is flying around, and just letting all those thoughts just flow down into your heart space. And just breathe into your heart space. And allow the mind to quieten. There's just so many thoughts, so busy. Just allow it to quieten down. And then the answer will begin to pop up. What is it? What is it exactly that I have been thinking about myself that have been causing this feeling of rejection, this feeling of that heart sinking? What is it I'm saying about myself? And that's your minute up, so you can see how quickly that time goes. And then if I was to ask you now, what is the answer you're saying to yourself?
I'm still consulting my brain, it's like
That's
if the brain has all the answers and it's not the heart yet.
Yeah, so breathe into the heart, breathe into your heart space, and just relax. Just let go. In those times when you have those negative responses and your reactions, is that feeling of rejection.
I think I have somewhat of an answer. Yeah, like if we dive even deeper than primary school, I think it would be, you know, being accepted from my mom.
Okay, so is the belief that I'm not accepted? What is the belief? You talk about acceptance.
Because I was taught to always get my mom's approval, right? Oh, good boy, bad boy, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that, yeah, this is like somewhat bad boys for some reason, not being accepted by, I can't point to something precisely. Obviously, I think this is somewhat related to me being the popular kid in primary school, vs me not expanding my wings as quick as my other friends and kind of retracting on myself. So the feeling is that I'm not adequate because I'm not leading. And is that coming because I was so successful, quote unquote, in primary school?
Okay. So when you believe that thought that I'm not adequate, so just staying with that thought for a moment, when you believe that thought, how do you feel?
Well, I feel pain in the heart, and also some emptiness, ironically.
Okay. So is that how you feel when you're getting these negative responses?
Yeah, I feel rejected.
Yeah,
I feel
it's the same. You feel rejected. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So staying with that
Empty.
belief that I'm feeling empty. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So staying with that belief that I'm not adequate, how has that worked for you in the past? When you believe that thought that I'm not adequate, how has that worked for you? How has that benefited you?
Made me feel like shit. Never worked
Yeah.
out anytime because, like I said, when, for example, I was at the cafeteria alone at my
Okay.
table, my friends would come right after.
Yeah,
So it was like this
that's okay.
false belief, right?
Okay. Yes. So we don't need the stories. Sometimes the stories can keep us stuck in the loop. So just thinking about that belief that I'm not adequate, what did that allow you to do then because you had that belief? You know, if you have the belief I'm not adequate, then how does it benefit you? What did it prompt you to do or behave or
I don't think it benefited much, but if one answer could be that, well, I modified my behaviors not to be alone and always be seen, you know. So with my
yeah.
friends, I even had two friends, the secondary five, which I would bring like in my pocket everywhere that I go, so that they kind of served as a shield for that.
Okay, so what need was that fulfilling? What purpose was it doing that you'd always be seen?
Yeah,
You know, you
social
modified your behavior.
protection.
So social protection, so you had social protection, so you had a group around you.
Never be alone, you know, like oh,
Yeah,
you're this
yeah.
cool kid.
So it did protect you. It protected you in some way when you had
Right.
that thought that everything has a positive intention. We might not think it or see it, but actually it does. So when we believe the thought, I'm not adequate, then it prompts us to modify the behavior so that we can be seen, so that we have that social proof and that we do feel protected and safe. Did that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
lots of sense.
So now, Charles, what have you been missing out on when you're believing that thought that I'm not adequate? What are you missing out on?
According to my today self, just, you know, being an independent thinker and being a one-man army.
Yeah.
I'm good with that position, being a contrarian nowadays. I still have maybe that that rejection feeling sometimes, but generally speaking, I feel very good being by myself, working by myself, thinking by myself, and coming with very unique perspectives and conclusions.
Yeah, excellent. But what else are you missing out on? So you're missing out on being an independent thinker or an independent thinker. When you believe the thought that I'm not adequate, what else are you missing out on?
It's a tough question. I really need to dive deep. Again, like giving advantages to that behavior, but I would guess, developing some kind of heart of stone and not being susceptible to groupthink, which is somewhat related to the first point.
Yes, but what are you missing out on? Like you talked about last night before you went to sleep. Were you missing out on sleep? Were you missing out on rest? What are you missing out on when you're reading
the disadvantages of that?
Yeah, what are you missing out on when you believe the thought?
That list is humongous. The cortisol it generates, me closing down my heart to new relationships and meeting new people, feeling bad. And yeah, the sleep. Yesterday, my sleep wasn't perfect, probably in parts because of that. Perfect's an interesting word, by the way.
So closing down your heart.
Not understanding the nature of the world. I think people will always not like stuff. I'm also that way, by the way. Like I'm similar to these folks. I'm no different.
Yes.
I also complain on stuff, they're human.
Okay. And I guess what we've got here is what you have when you believe the thought that you're not adequate. You get a pain in your heart, you feel rejection, and you feel empty. But it has allowed you to modify your behaviors so that you will be seen and that you have that protection and you surround yourself socially with people. Is that right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, but then you've been missing out on closing your heart to meeting new people. You've been missing out on sleep. You've been missing out on that confidence and
cash,
that being
also
that independent. Sorry?
I could get more cash if I was less.
You're missing out on money. Yeah, missing out on money, earning a good living because you're so caught up in that thought that I'm not adequate. So you're missing out on all of those things. So if we were to create a new belief around that would be the opposite to the old belief, but incorporates the benefits that you got from that old belief and also what you were missing out on. So creating a new belief instead of thinking that I'm not adequate, like in those times that the first thought you go to, that this is your new identity, that this is who I am now.
Because right now my framework for this is either not reply or turn the negative into positive. These are my two frameworks.
That's okay. So then frameworks aside, just thinking about a new belief you can have, we can make up a new belief, is that I'm always seen, I open my heart, I feel protected and safe. What is it for you? What would be an exciting new belief that if you believed it in every cell in your body, it was in every fiber of your being, what would it be?
I think pertaining to that, one of the last points we mentioned, and to one of the guy that I followed on YouTube that deals with a lot of quote unquote hate, I think one interesting model or belief could be that they're humans and they're all going through stuff. And how about I show some empathy and their current situations, and instead of viewing them like attacks towards Charles, just view as darts being thrown on a dartboard that is not necessarily me. It's just a dartboard.
Yeah, there are lots of tools and techniques, and we do teach ones around compassion and empathy and understanding and judging versus opinion versus judging. But for this exercise, We want to equip you with a new belief so that no matter what comes at you, it really don't bother you, because I can have empathy for others. Like this new belief is, yeah, I can have empathy and compassion for others. They're doing the best they can with the resources they have at this time. So these are all things that we can take in as new beliefs, and they will help us quite a lot. But when we have the belief that we're not adequate, and we've had that belief for a very long time, we need to get rid of that and to install a new belief that will be really helpful for you going forward, so you don't have these feelings of rejection, that pain in your heart, that empty feeling.
Yeah, it's just not Charles, I guess. It's like Charles out of the equation. It's just the energy that I put out there. If I ask something, it's not necessarily me personally. It's just an output. It's just a packet of data that goes one direction. And maybe I receive some feedback about my offer, right? Because if we're talking about an email or a podcast, and that doesn't have much to do with Charles, or in that case, young Charles.
Okay, so that is a great way to think about it. You can separate yourself from it. Actually, they're attacking what's here, not me personally. But what do you want to be believing about yourself? Like, you have the belief that I'm not adequate. Do you want to believe that, yeah, what I offer is amazing, that the people that that are here to listen will listen, those that everybody can't like me? You know, it's not possible that everybody, they're not my tribe. So that's okay. I'm not speaking to them. I'm speaking to those that really want to hear what I have to say. What is the new belief for you? You have the old belief that I'm not adequate. What do you want the new belief to be? Is it that I am? What is it in the positive?
I have like a tendency towards like high ego and almost megalomania. So, but just before I proceed with that one, because I know that I'm good and all of that, another framework instead of the dartboard could be just that I run this lab, you know, and out of 100 experiments, 3 are gonna explode, or gonna be rotten, and are not gonna be, well, not yeah, maybe 3 in that case are not gonna be successful. So if that is the model. But if to answer your question specifically, instead of I am not enough, if we can use words and images to communicate to my brain that it's to limit the pain. It's not I am enough, because that's not me.
That's okay. That might not be you right now, because if you have the belief that I am not enough or I'm not adequate, then it's hard to switch it to, yes, I am enough. Of course you're
I am whole. I am whole would be a bit more like me.
I am whole. Okay. So what is it about that about being seen and being protected? I am whole. I can allow my vulnerabilities. Like, you're being extremely vulnerable here today.
Yeah.
So what is it? I am whole, people. What is it you want about opening up your heart and meeting people? What is it about opening up your
I like
heart?
that too. I am whole, I am open. And whole is, you know, because the feeling, I described some emptiness, and somehow that emptiness hurts. So maybe just, you know, I'm whole. And what does that mean is like I'm full of love.
I am whole. I am full of love. I love it, Charles. I am full of love. I am whole. I am full of love. And when we send out that love to others, that's what we get back. And some people are in the space to receive it, but others are not.
Yeah.
So do we want
in
this
the end,
new
it's
belief
about love. I think it's because if my heart feels empty, then that means no love, you know. It's like you are not love. But if I read a response like that, it's just like my heart is full, and that's okay. And I can have potentially even empathy with that mental model.
I love it. So I am whole. I open my heart to love, and I have empathy for others. How does that feel? Is that exciting? Is that a new exciting belief?
Yeah, the whole, I really love it. It's like a full circle.
I am whole. I open my heart to love and have empathy for others. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels better. It's like a full sphere
Okay.
that is red.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, Charles, are you willing to let go of that old belief today consciously and be aware of it
Hell yeah.
subconsciously? Okay,
100%.
yeah, because that's been hanging around. So that old belief is that I'm not adequate, I'm not enough, is it?
Right.
Okay, so when did you make that decision? I know you were doing a lot of analyzing and head stuff earlier as to when that decision was made, because you didn't come into this world with that decision.
I suspect it was, around the subconscious time. But and I had signs of it officially in high school.
Yeah.
That's what I
So what
suspect.
age were you when you first made that decision? And the decision was made, it started out as a thought, and then we continued to think that thought, I'm not enough, I'm not adequate, you know, people aren't. So it can be in the early teenage years, sometimes it can be much, much younger.
Yeah, I have a precise moment. Well, at least I can consciously point
Great.
at, and
Yeah. How old were you?
I was like 12, and that was
12,
like my
okay.
first day of high school.
The beauty of doing this work is that often we don't need the details at all. You know, that the stories can often just get in the way. So that is the beauty of doing this work, that we don't have to re-traumatize ourselves by talking about it over and over again. We can just let go of the old belief. I'm conscious of time, but you've kind of given me permission to keep going until we get this old belief done. Because when we work with clients, we just keep going until we get it done. So what it involves and how we'll do it is to looking at this event from a distance. This belief was taken on when you were 12 years of age. So we're going to go back and look at that event, go right down into that time that it happened, notice the emotions that are present, notice if you are aware that that's when the decision was made, and then we're going to float above that event and look at it and look at, because that happened, what have I learned? What have I learned? What skills have I got today because I lived through that event? Is this making sense to you? Okay.
A lot.
So we believe that everything that happens in life, that there is a positive and that there is a negative. Okay. We often open, it's like two gifts. We're given two gifts. We often open the crappy gift and we live with it and we hold on to those beliefs. I'm not enough. I'm not adequate. Nobody likes me, whatever those beliefs are. But there is a second gift there. Because we lived through that experience, there will have been learnings there for yourself. And sometimes those learnings can come decades later.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of relaxation to get into that subconscious mind where you can really do it. And we're going to go back to that time and we are going to find out what those learnings are. The learnings are going to be about you. They're not about others. They're going to be positive and they are there for you in the future should you need them. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. So you're ready for this, Charles? I'm excited for you. So just take a deep breath in, back into the heart space again. Get out of the head and get into the heart. And just with each breath out, feeling your body relaxing a little bit more, feeling your shoulders drop. And just breathe in. And as you breathe out, just feel that relaxation moving through the body. And if there are any tensions anywhere at all, just let them flow right out. Nothing to do, nowhere to be, just to be here now. And enjoy that feeling of relaxation. Thoughts may come into your mind. Just let them drift away. Just let them go. And as you're there relaxing now, Charles, I'd like to ask your subconscious mind to float above your timeline, over the past, and right down into that event where you first decided that I'm not enough, that I'm not adequate. And let me know when you're there. And just notice the emotions that are present. What are the emotions that are present when you're there, Charles, when you're right back there?
Shame, lack of expression.
Shame. Yeah. So are you now aware with your adult eyes of the decision that you made back then, that I'm not enough, that I'm not adequate?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to do is float back above that event, well before the beginning of that event, or a series of events that led to that event, and turn and look towards now. And just ask your subconscious mind, what is the positive learning that I can take from this event to learn about myself so I can easily and effortlessly let go of the emotion? I can preserve the learnings, so if I need them in the future, they'll be there for you. When you have your learnings, tell me what they are.
That I faced adversity for the first time in my life, and without this, I would have been pretty vulnerable in this entrepreneurial life later on.
Yes. So what is it did for you? What strengths and qualities have you got now that I face adversity? What is it, the qualities that you have now when you're facing what you're facing now?
Where to start? Resilience,
I'm resilient. Yeah.
more social skills, ironically.
Yes.
More IQ also.
Yeah.
I even learned business during these periods because of that.
Yeah.
Playing video games, which is odd, but
Yes. Yeah. What else did you learn? What else? What other positive learnings are there for you for the future?
I learned that plans often go to shit,
Yes.
and that you need to regroup and replan or test
Yeah.
approaches. And I learned about other humans and other adolescents that were also in the same shape or same environment.
So what is the positive learning in that for you for the future?
Well, human psychology, learning
Sorry?
learning more about human psychology.
Okay, so I know about human psychology. How does that feel knowing that actually, yeah, I have an insight into human psychology?
Feels good, and it feels that I can navigate various rough environments throughout life and pretty much any situations I'm dropped into.
I navigate rough environments. What is that about you? What is it
Well,
about you that allows you to do that? What qualities have you got?
one of my top quality, I think, as a human being is being adaptable.
I'm
To this
adaptable.
day,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
adaptable, not unadaptable. I'm very adaptable. And that
How does
led
it
actually
feel
to my
knowing?
digital nomad life,
Yeah.
that kickstarted me. It also led to my entrepreneurship,
Yeah. That, how does it feel knowing that you are very adaptable? That you have those
feels
qualities
very
that I,
powerful. It feels like abundance.
when you feel that sense of being powerful and feel that sense of abundance, where do you notice it most in your body?
My heart,
Feel it in your heart. Yeah.
my
Just
gut.
allow that feeling. Yeah. Just allow that feeling into your heart and into your gut now. That feeling of powerful, that feeling of abundance, that feeling, yeah, that you've got this. Being able to be adaptable to lots of different situations. Charles, what else is there to learn from that event as you look down on that time with much wiser eyes now, with all the skills and knowledge that you have now that you didn't have then? What else is there to learn from that event?
that life is not always what you intend it to be.
Yes. And what is there to learn for you for the future about that, about yourself? Life is not always what I intend it to be.
Well, my plans might go to shit and I will adapt.
Yeah. I adapt, yeah. Intend to be that I adapt. How does that feel?
Feels good.
It feels good.
Feels imperfect, but good.
It feels imperfect and feels good. Okay, so what is it about imperfect? What is there to learn about that for you for the future? Like looking down on that event and just notice, what is the positive learning you can take from that event to learn about yourself? The ultimate learning, the gift you've been waiting for all these years to unwrap, to open, to go, wow, of course, that was always there. What is the positive learning?
I guess to flow with life, because life is life and you don't have full control over it. And I can just let go and not be so hard on myself when it doesn't happen the way I want it to be.
So if you're not being hard on yourself, how are you being towards yourself?
Flowing like water.
I can let go and flow like water. How does that feel?
Like water.
Like water? But what does it feel like in your body when you can flow like water?
It's like water in my heart. It moves, it's fluent, it's versatile, it's everything all at once.
Versatile, everything all at once.
But in a good way, not in a chaotic way.
Yeah. Okay, so Charles, just looking down at that old event now, are the emotions still there or have they disappeared?
Yeah, they're very neutral.
They're very neutral, they're not there. Okay, good. So just go down, and the decision is, sorry?
That's interesting. It's like if I think of that situation, I don't feel the heart pinch anymore.
Yeah, wonderful. And the decision, is that gone too? That old decision that I'm not enough, that I'm not adequate, is that gone too?
Well, I don't feel the same feeling for sure.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, not the same imagery nor feeling.
Okay.
It is neutral again.
Okay, so we're just going to check on the event. We're just going to float down inside the event, looking through your own eyes and checking the emotions. Are they there or have they disappeared?
Oh, they're weaker if I think strong about them, but
so are they still there a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Not that I think, but they're mostly flatlined.
Mostly flatlined. Okay. So is there forgiveness needed there? Is there forgiveness needed for yourself or for others?
Well, I definitely forgive my past self for that. I definitely forgive.
So just
others.
Sending that forgiveness into your past self as you're there. And just telling your past self that you just love him exactly as he is. And that he is pretty amazing, that he is adaptable.
Right.
And just sending that forgiveness into others, knowing that others are only doing the best they can. We all make mistakes. This is how humans learn. And that it's okay that you've made a mistake to your younger self. It's okay that you've made a mistake. And to others, you can just forgive others, knowing that you know you're teachers for one another. And you know that they have now looking at it through adult eyes, you know that they were doing the best they can with the resources they had at the time. And you don't know what was going on in their life and what they're going through.
Right.
And that you're ready to let this go. You want to move on. How does that feel now, Charles?
It feels light.
Good. Light. Are the old emotions there or have they disappeared?
They're not there.
They're not there. Okay.
Resentment is not there.
Good. So just come back above the timeline and just looking back down on that event. with your new belief on board. Your new belief is that I am whole. I open my heart to love and empathy. And looking down on that old event and notice the possibilities that you didn't see, but they are so clear now with this new belief in every cell of your body that I am whole. I open my heart to love and I have empathy for others. What are the possibilities?
Like an Everest mountain going up and up and up.
So you could just the possibilities. So what are the possibilities in that event?
Well,
You
now
have the
that
belief.
I'm not carrying a heavy backpack, I can climb that Everest.
I can climb Everest. Yeah, I can do anything. What other possibilities are there?
I can bring others with me at the top.
I can bring others to the top. Yes.
And
What else?
and I can enjoy the view on my way there.
I can enjoy the journey and enjoy the view. I love it, Charles. I love it. What else? What other possibilities?
I can experiment more.
Mm.
And be fully my creative self.
Be fully my creative self.
Without fearing the judgment of others.
Yeah, so there is no fear. So if there was no fear of judgment for others, what would be there instead?
More energy expenditure to use for more creation and also more love and
Yes.
potentially even teaching others how to do the same
Mm.
and spread that love.
Spreading the love. Wonderful, Charles. So what I want you to do now is come back to now above your timeline, only as quickly as you can recalibrate all the events between then and now in the light of your new choices and preserve your learnings. And your learnings are, I face adversity. I am resilient. I have more social skills. I have more knowledge of business. I regroup when things go wrong and I replan. I know about human psychology. I navigate rough environments. I am very adaptable. I feel powerful. I feel abundant. I feel it in my gut. Life is not always what it is intended to be. I adapt. I flow with life. I let go and I flow like water. I'm versatile. Everything. It's everything all at once. And just notice the possibilities as you reevaluate those events. Some of the possibilities is that I can climb Everest. I can bring others with me to the top. I enjoy the view. I enjoy the journey. I can experiment more. I can be fully my creative self. I have more energy. I have more love. I'm teaching others and I'm spreading the love. And as you come back to now, just notice with this new belief on board that I am whole. I open my heart to love and I have empathy. Just noticing what other possibilities there are as you come back to now, Charles.
Very deep.
Very deep. Yeah. How do you feel about that old belief now? That old belief that we just deleted?
I feel empowered and energized and confident, full. That's why I'm so bullish on coaching, because it worked. Well, I mean, if you're susceptible, suggestible, and if you're open, it can have such an impact in your life, and I think the audience has seen it live here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being vulnerable and opening yourself up.
My pleasure. Thanks to you.
Sending you lots of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you any questions around the process?
No, I only have the proof, the feeling. Because often someone that's really cerebral like me, we often let go of the heart, yet the heart is probably one of the greatest tool. If your heart is not like following up, your brain it'll try to go even more brainier, but I think you need like the alignment of both, the chakras and the Eastern cultures.
Yes, it's getting out of the head and getting into the body.
Yeah.
So
very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. I think I was in a right biochemical state for that today. I felt good today, generally speaking. I ran a 26K last Sunday, and yesterday I was a bit more down, but somehow today I feel good. So I'm not sure if that helped the biochemical state.
Yes.
But yeah, I got, the meditations, I got deep real quick. It was silence in my mind. I'm not sure also if it's because I'm not meditating often nowadays. Because I used to have a 5-minute routine, but again, that 5-minute routine, it comes from the brain, right? It's like, oh, you have the habit to sit down, and I didn't get as deep in those meditation. I think my heart is telling me, or is just rewarding me for these meditations, because I got deep real quick. So I think that also helped. So yeah, it was good.
Good.
Yeah. So you have a live testimonial now. But just to close this off, because it's food time for me.
Yes.
And that lasted 45 minutes. It felt like 2 minutes.
Yes.
It felt like passing really quick. But for the audience, I'm doing these sessions just to show you the impact. Obviously there can be some bias in there, because maybe sometimes I feel like I'm watched, but I think I can go pretty deep pretty quick there, and that's to show you that coaching is quite powerful. And these therapies, even as a CEO, it's not woo-woo stuff. It really works, and it scales also, because every time in your life that you bring some weight on your shoulders on the way there's a way, one, for you to get there faster, and also to enjoy your time while you're getting there. And that feeling of rejection, every time I read these posts, I thought I had worked it out, and I did work it out, but there was still some crumbs remaining there. And typically, the more you do these therapies, quote unquote, and the more you're open to it, and the more you open your heart as well to spirituality, I think it makes you more susceptible to these, and you can advance quicker. So obviously, if you're this very cerebral CEO that has zero experience into this, you might have to wait for a while and be patient with these therapies. But me today, I felt it quite high, or I think so. Let's observe the results. But very grateful for that, Imelda. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So welcome, Charles. Yeah.
Last but not least, where can people find out more about you and your company?
Okay, so in LinkedIn, Mind Coach Academy. So we have two. The website will get through mindcoachacademy.com or mindcoachacademy.co.nz. Yeah, so just reach out. We love having a chat, and we always have a chat with people before we we work with them, just to give them the opportunity to see if we're their cup of tea. We realize we're not everybody's. So yeah, just to give people the opportunity to meet with us before we sign up or do any